All right, everybody. I've got another very special guest for you all. I want everybody to please welcome to the show, Mr. J. Michael Miller. Welcome, JM.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So pleasure to have you on the show. And actually, normally we start off a little with the origin story, and we'll get to that. But I thought this was funny because we had a little interaction on social media, and then minutes before I came down here to set up, I grabbed my mail. And look what came in.
That's perfect timing.
Pinnacle. I haven't even taken out the little plastic thing yet.
I haven't even gotten to hold a copy.
I guess I'm special then.
You are.
So with that, we're talking about Summit Comics here and your new project coming from them, from you guys. But before we start with that, I want to get your origin story, a little basis to start our conversation. What got you into comics, and what point did you start writing and editing these things?
Comics, I've been interested in superheroes since I was a kid with the cartoons and everything, but my grandma got me a couple comics when I was younger. But in seventh grade, I found in the yellow pages a comic book shop and went and spent my birthday money on comics and found Spider-Man 2099 and Star Wars and Amazing Spider-Man and a bunch of other stuff. And comics kind of had me there. And I started writing comics in 2022. And my first comic was Kid Cretaceous.
What was that book all about?
That's about a girl that gets in a car accident after moving to a small town in Idaho and wishes that her toy dinosaur could come to life and save them. Kind of like Toy Story meets superheroes.
Very cool. So when you did that, was that kind of your first foray into Kickstarter as well?
Yeah, that was my first comic and my first comic on Kickstarter as well. I had tried to do a Star Wars fan animation that was a little naive and unsuccessful for my first before that, but my first comic Kickstarter was Kid Cretaceous in 2022, and I had the idea for the Twin Flames the same day I had the idea for Kid Cretaceous, actually. So it took a while for this one, though.
And how did you get involved with Summit? What was your kind of entrance into that whole story?
um, there were a few creators. CJ Hudson, Devin Arscott, and Travis Gibb had Granite, Upheaval, and Noir already as superheroes that existed. And in Travis's Gibb Discord for the comic community, they talked about joining superheroes together and kind of branding into one universe and making everything interconnected. And there was just that chat one day, and I followed suit with the other creators that were interested, and we kind of just started our own Discord and formed everything from there.
So you just jumped on board after when the conversation was going on, and we're like, hey, I think I got something for this as well.
Yeah, I was part of the day one crew that went over with it.
So you were part of the OG crew that kind of formed this whole thing.
Yeah.
And so now that I've got Summit Pinnacle right here, how was kind of the creation of that when you guys came together? Like, who kind of led the charge there?
Kind of everybody had their own role in it. Definitely Adam and Devin kind of led the efforts creatively, and Devin helped with being the editor in chief, getting everybody assigned properly. But it was interesting having some superheroes that already existed and had their own comic, and then other characters that needed to be introduced for the first time.
Okay. And so being a superhero fan, I'm guessing you were really keen on the idea of like a big event to start it all off and then jumping on from there.
Yeah, it doesn't all take place on the same day. It takes place at different points in the Summit Comics universe, but A Day is kind of what we decided when we formed Summit, was the jumping off point of a lot of superpowers, but not all, based off of when the world was predicted to end in the past in 2012. And then from there, for my story, I made sure it started on A Day when that happened, and then I included Noir as a mayor at the end of the Twin Flames #1, and we've got it covered with granite. And I kind of made sure there were touches of the universe everywhere with my story.
Very cool. Now, you're one of the first Summit books to be live on Kickstarter while Pinnacle is kind of in people's hands, at least the physical edition. I know the digital's been out for a while. Do you? I know I talked to a lot of the guys about like were they worried about Pinnacle not being in people's hands, and obviously the projects have been successful, so there wasn't a whole lot of worry there. Do you feel like that might be a boost for the book, knowing that people now have kind of the full story and they can really sink their teeth into the universe?
Yeah, I'm one of the first campaigns that's able to offer Summit Pinnacle as an add-on with physical copies, and I think it's kind of the perfect timing for the Twin Flames to be out there as well. The first 8 pages of the first issue are in Summit Pinnacle, so if you got that, you can read it and see if you like it and want to continue. It's gotten a couple of good reviews.
Yeah, I've been excited to finally get my hands on it. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'll read digital comics. You know, I get a lot of review books and stuff like that. So digital comics are part of my reading, but especially when it comes to Kickstarter books, my preferred method is when I get the physical one. Like if I back to physical, I want the physical. So
Yeah, me
this
too.
will be my first foray into it. Probably this afternoon after we get off our recording here. But so
Awesome.
I know a few of the books I've backed because they just sound interesting. And then yours, what is Flames all about?
It's rooted in ancient Egyptian mythology and follows a imperfectly perfect couple that get similar fire-based powers on the same day, A Day. They're called by an Egyptian deity to investigate underneath the Luxor Casino, where they get relics that give them powers from Bennu, an ancient Egyptian deity. He's kind of like a Zordon in the story.
Okay, so is this planned on being an ongoing, or are you one of the limited series?
It's going to be ongoing with planned arcs.
Okay, so for the first arc, I mean, are we planning like 5
It's
issues?
probably the first trade will probably be 5 issues. It'll probably be 2, 1, and 2 to collect the 5.
Okay, so I know with Kickstarter books, it's tough. I mean, you can realistically only get so many issues out in a year. Was there any conversation, or with you in particular, was there any concern with a universe like this and the slow paced nature of Kickstarter keeping people interested?
I think that it needs to be part of your planning when you're creating your story. I have a huge story that I'd like to tell, but I need to make sure that I can still tell it at the pace that it's going to be able to be released. I can't release 15 issues in a year and a half like an Image Comics title would be able to.
Hmm.
So I think it's definitely important to try to find some type of schedule that will not let readers get distracted, but you definitely have to maintain that it's going to be a little bit slower pace with Kickstarter.
Yeah, and especially I know at least the original plan was to do something like Pinnacle every year. Is that still kind of the plan?
Yeah, so Pinnacle #1 is kind of our launch into our universe and introduces all the heroes. And after that, it's going to be like a big event, like Civil War for Marvel
Hmm.
is. Um, and instead of being different issues, it'll just be one big book that you get to collect the whole story at one time and not have to worry about tie-ins and all of that other stuff unless there are a couple of those offered. But it'll be
Okay.
like upfront and the whole thing's contained as one graphic novel instead of different issues.
Yeah, and as comic fans and people we all are, we're well aware of it, like the comic event. I know I'm always a big proponent, like I'm a sucker for a good Marvel DC event book, but all of the titles seem to have to like converge on this one moment for
Right.
these books to really work. How are you guys working with that? Are you not too
All right.
concerned with all the books converging at the right time, or?
We're not too worried about books converging at the same time because it's kind of the nature of indie comics, it being different creators and them self-publishing their own books under the Summit brand as well. They don't have to follow the same type of timeline. We have a lot of years that we can work with since A Days when it starts in 2012, and a lot of the events in Pinnacle are current events happening in 2025, 2026. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of years that your story can take place in.
Okay, so like your book is, are you pushing it back on that timeline to be like, hey, this is like kind of right after A Day, giving you that 5 year or 3 or 4 years of time to tell stories?
I'm going to start with the first two issues, solidifying who they were after they get their powers in 2012. And then they appear in Pinnacle 2 that will be coming out next year. And it'll be age gap forward to modern day in that story. And so I'm thinking of having the different arc issues kind of explain some of that timeline difference and kind of making up for it that way. But we also have Juna Maris as a Summit Comics owned character, and she's had 783 lives and kind of can reset the timeline. And she was invented that way from the beginning, and she's going to be featured in Summit Presents issues 1 through 3. That's coming with Carla Medrano and Marcus Jimenez doing the art, with Killstrike as the second story for that one. And so that will help lead into Pinnacle 2 as well, being Summit Comics owned comics instead of creator heroes.
And I was asking some of the other creators as they came on something similar. And when you're doing Twin Flames, how much do you want to, or do you focus on like other characters dropping by, or some sort of connectivity inside of your book with the universe?
I approached it that I want to establish who the Twin Flames are on their own. I want the story to be about them, but I want other characters to still appear and it to seem natural. So for the Twin Flames #1, Noir is a mayor in a different city, not Las Vegas, where the Twin Flames takes place. So she's on a video call with the mayor of Las Vegas at the end of the first issue to make sure that everything still feels connected. Granite is on a Jazz Cola ad in one of the covers for Twin Flames, and so kind of making sure that connectivity is there. I have a backup story by Stephanie Williams, and it's got a Cobalt Cricket logo on the boys' T-shirt as well. So kind of treating it like Easter eggs and that it's all one universe, and kind of like even Star Wars, where you want to tell your own story, but it's still in the same universe. It
Yeah.
feels lived in and doesn't have to be the same thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like I enjoy when I read those early Marvel books where it's like, there's a connected universe coming, but at the time they were just kind of free forming, and they'll
Yeah,
just have like in the background a Fantastic Four Daily Bugle
yeah,
newspaper, and that's kind of how you knew. You didn't
right.
necessarily have to have Spider-Man swoop in and help out to understand that they were in the same world.
Yeah,
So I like the idea of you guys doing that, especially in the beginning, to kind of solidify like, hey, they're around, but they don't necessarily know who each other are quite yet. So
right. Our first hero team up is happening in Pinnacle 2 as well. So we'll kind of get to see that and them form a little bit more naturally, like it was with Marvel at the beginning too.
very cool. Are you doing? Have there been any talks about like a Summit team up book, kind of like Marvel team up or DC Brave and the
That
Bold?
was I've tried to talk to Sebastian about Cobalt Cricket. I think it would be fun to do the Twin Flames and Cobalt Cricket like Spidey and his amazing friends with Iceman and Firestar. Is that her name?
Hmm.
Um, I think it'd be fun to homage that, but we've talked about it, but we haven't solidified anything beyond the Summit Presents model so far, and the Pinnacles every year as the event.
You haven't done a Summit Prevents issue yet, have you?
No, Summit Presents is probably going to launch in later July, and that's going to have Juna Maris and Phil Shrike as the 2-in-1 stories.
Very cool. How is from the inside? How have you guys felt about the first 6, 7 months of Pinnacle? Like how all the projects have gone, how the backing's gone. Have you been happy with the outcome so far?
I've been happy. I think some people might be more happy than others, but I think that it's been exciting to see every campaign be successful and everything continuing to grow hype, and that doesn't really seem to be falling apart yet. We're still building on the momentum, and everything just seems to get more exciting as everything goes. I'm also a group editor, so I am editing Juna Maris's story for Summit Presents 1 through 3, and Bloodwake that launches soon as well, and some other titles like Wayfarer that was also successful. So it's exciting because I also have my fingers in other people's projects as an editor too.
Very. Yeah, I think it's exciting to see superheroes on the platform. Like I know we've
Yeah.
gotten some over the years, but it felt like superheroes was a forgotten. I hate to say genre because it's not really a genre, but genre on
Almost just too
Kickstarter.
much of a trope to exist on Kickstarter before. Too
Yeah,
much. There were
it felt
exceptions, but
like everybody like they had their story they wanted to tell, but they didn't want to give up their big superhero story in case Marvel came
right,
calling or something.
right.
So you mentioned you're kind of a group editor for the brand. What goes into that for the people who may not know?
Well, this morning we had a call with all but one member of Summit Editorial, and that lasted almost an hour. And that's on Saturday mornings right now. And then that's aside from the actual editing work we do. So there's a deadline given to a writer to have a script by, and then the editor, within a reasonable time, needs to look at it and give any regular copy or line edits, but also any feedback to the story to help it be more cohesive. And then it needs to go back to the writer before it can then go to art and then colors and letters.
So are you when you do the editing, are you just editing the scripts or are you with the whole process, like even going with the artist and being like, hey, this needs to be fixed and whatnot?
Um, kind of in the middle. Mostly I'm working on the scripts, but I'll work with the writer if they need to, and usually the writer themselves communicate with the artist. So I've had to communicate with my artist for the Twin Flames, but not an artist for Wayfarer. Nate handled communication with Sam Yak for that.
And how has the culture shift been for these creators having to I'm sure a lot of them aren't dealing with editors on their normal projects and aren't used to deadlines as much, maybe self-imposed ones,
Yeah.
but has there been kind of a culture change inside the group?
I haven't noticed anything. Everybody's been pretty excited to work and move forward, and kind of it's exciting having like a collective of so many different indie creators excited to work at the same time. Some of us move too fast for other people, and other people like to move slow. But that's kind of the cool thing about it all is everybody gets to work at their own pace as long as they're working towards what their role is.
Very, very cool. Yeah, it's interesting. There's always the two jobs inside comics that are kind of thankless, and it's lettering,
Yeah,
and editor. And I feel like editors always get blamed for the bad things and never for the good things. Like when the story's good, it's like, oh, that writer is awesome. But when the story sucks, like it's because the editor got in the way.
probably.
Who's so on Twin Flames? Who's your artist you're working with?
The artist is Ram Silva. He's somebody who's worked with some other creators in Summit, like Adam Barnhart. Worked with him as well on a project. He just did another variant for a different project for Summit for Bloodwake, I believe, and it's been a good process. I originally had a different artist scheduled, but she had some real life issues come up as well.
That's unfortunate, but it seems like you got a good artist here. Was it somebody that was a part of the group and you just contacted, or how'd you guys kind of get in team up?
Um, I was a little bit panicking about who to find as an artist because I had Noelle Kelly lined up to do the art, and she was paid to do half of the story for Pinnacle, and ended up not being able to complete the art. And so I found another artist who ended up lying about some of their credits, and so I had to get a refund from them for that before Adam suggested Rom. So I was kind of lucky to have Summit there to have other artists to suggest that could work quickly under the deadline.
It's gonna be nice to have like a backup support when something like that goes wrong in, in this
Yeah,
process. And then what I find interesting with your book too is it's I believe it's the first book, but it's the first book I noticed where you have a backup story by a separate creative team. Um, where did that idea come from, or like why did you go and decide to do that?
I kind of put my all into this book. I've been interested in ancient Egyptian mythology since I was a kid. I've been interested in superheroes since I was a kid. I've been interested in romance since I was a kid. And I kind of treated everything like I wanted to build my own community with the Twin Flames. So I built the most collaborative process that I have with the comic so far, with all of the different variant cover artists, and then having a couple of backups. I have Nate Schachter doing a backup with Ignacio de Meglione art, and I saw the art for Brain Rot and another story coming out with Morty from Granite that I thought I wanted to capture that element for the Twin Flames in a story. And then last year at Boise Comic Arts Festival, I attended a panel with a couple of other publishers and Stephanie Williams, who I'd met the year before. And so I talked to her about Summit, and um, I was trying to get her a different job, and it didn't pan out, but I wanted to make sure she did something with Summit as quickly as possible. So I offered the Twin Flames to her, and we got a 3-pager that Marcus Jimenez was doing the inks for. 2 of those pages are done, and I thought it was a great moment to really expand everything and build a small community.
Yeah, and to get a talent like Stephanie Williams on the book too, like
Yeah,
that's
that was
huge.
before the 2 Eisner nominations.
All right. He snuck her in before she became big.
Yeah, she already was doing all the work, but getting recognized now.
Very cool. I love to hear that. Yeah, I've seen her name just jumping around and was interested to see that she was attached to this. Just because yeah, all the nominations and all the recognition out there, like she's become kind of a hot name.
Right, I
So
like her writing a lot too. She's been in some other
yes.
indie comics projects I've seen, some anthologies, so I thought she'd be open to it as well, which worked out thankfully.
And then for people to go and check out the Kickstarter, I think one of the things I first noticed about your campaign over other summit campaigns was you have a lot of variant covers. Or was that a choice just because that's what you normally do with your projects, or why go with so many?
I kind of just wanted to go all out for the first issue of the Twin Flames, especially since I was able to get Stephanie Williams as a guest writer for a backup as well. I wanted to make sure everybody kind of got to share with that instead of maybe half of those covers.
Hmm.
Some people suggested only 4 or 5, but we have 8, and then a sketch cover too.
Yeah, you have quite a few cool ones too. I mean, yeah, the sketch cover. I like the way you guys are handling sketch covers with kind of the instead of it just being white, doing colors of the characters.
Yeah, that
I think that's
was
a really cool
Jerome
idea.
Gagnon's idea.
Makes sense. Smart dude.
Yeah,
And then I think my favorite is the Frosted Flames cover.
yeah. I love the cereal box homages that Ignacio's doing. He's done some for different projects as well. And there's a second one for Twin Flames #2. So collect them all.
And I see too that you're offering sketches on the cover. Who's doing the sketches for the sketch cover tier?
The main cover artist, Marcus Jimenez, is doing 5, and then Max Spinelli is doing another 5. He's also a very cover artist. So 2 of the cover artists.
And how are you handling? Are you just gonna random draw who does
Yeah,
or who gets what when they do that?
yeah. Just randomly, I'll probably do a generator and assign numbers to the outside of the bag to make sure it's fair.
Are the backers gonna get to choose what's on the cover, or you kind of give it to them saying like do what you think is cool?
Do what you think is cool.
Yeah. Oh, so you're telling me I can't get a Twin Flames sketch cover with Rom on it. I got it. What other cool things you got going on with the campaign? I mean, a lot of variant covers, which is always cool. People love the covers. The sketch thing. Do you got any other cool goodies going on or special things with the campaign?
Yeah, we just announced our stretch goals yesterday. So we have art from Marco Roblin coming in. I don't have work in progress samples yet, but it's going to be in a style of the Daredevil piece that I posted in the update. For we just hit the first stretch goal, so that's going to be for Nico Noden, and then the better half, Soraya, will be the second stretch goal to get free prints. And then after that will be this sticker for the stretch goal #3, and then the fourth stretch goal isn't announced yet, but we just announced those. You can be drawn into issue 2. There's 4 slots that were available to get drawn into issue 2 during a scene in a casino. And that's a new thing that just got added. And then you can get Summit Pinnacle #1 as an add-on now too, if you miss that.
Being drawn so as a background character.
Yeah,
Okay. I
if you
know
want to be
people
in a
love to get
comic, you
killed in
can be in a
comics.
comic now. They don't even have to get killed this time. They can have fun in a casino.
For some reason, though, people love to get killed in comics.
I should charge extra for that one.
Yeah. I feel like every time there's a zombie book, it's like, be one of the zombies I kill in this book. And it just sells out.
Yeah.
Very cool. Have you had anyone back the be drawn yet?
I haven't looked. I just added it yesterday, so I haven't looked since then.
Let's see. Be drawn. Yep. One backer so far, so it worked.
There's 3 left.
I noticed you have retailer tiers on here as well. Has there been a lot of retailer interest in Summit, and particularly your book?
There's been some retailer interest. I've got 2 local comic book stores as well, the Collector's Outpost in Meridian, Idaho, and Captain Comics in Boise, Idaho, have posters hung up right now for the Twin Flames too. And if you go to Captain Comics, you can get the sneak peek for Pinnacle, not the full thing.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm interested to see a year from now what your retailer footprint looks like. I know behind the scenes, I'm sure you guys are talking about direct market a little bit more, but I'm sure that's far into the future.
There's talks going on about it, weighing options.
So yeah, I mean, the book looks really cool. I think you got a fun idea. I love what you guys are doing over at Summit. I mean, been a big fan. Obviously, I've got Pinnacle sitting here waiting for me to read. Does anything else about the campaign you want people to know before we kind of jump off?
Just don't miss out on Summit. It's the start of a new superhero universe. I know that's been said before, but everything is really cohesive and moving together. There's heads that butt behind the scenes sometimes, but then everything else works together as well and comes out great in the end. So that's really
Yeah,
exciting. Even just as a fan, I'm excited for every comic that we've got coming out. Not even the ones
yeah,
I'm editing, just all of them.
Yeah,
great
I'm
ideas,
excited to
great
keep seeing what you guys
creative people.
have and to see what happens when we start hitting issues 2, 3s, 4s down the line with these
Yeah.
books, because I just feel like it's going to grow and grow. Um, but yeah, also any social media you want people to go to, website, like where can people find you and follow your work in the future?
At Comics and Cosmos is my social media handle on any platform. And you can go to readsumn.it to read anything Summit, and you can find any my campaign and other campaigns there as well. We also have a Summit cover contest ending July 1st if you're an artist interested in that.
So you all still have time to enter that contest as you're listening to this as well. But also, everybody, make sure to check out the show notes down below. I'll have a link to the Kickstarter, so you can make sure you can go check out the Twin Flames #1 and back it. And then also to Summit's website, and then you'll see all of JM's social media down there as well, so you can follow him there with all the future projects. JM, the book looks really cool. Like I said, huge fan of what you guys are doing over there at Summit, so keep it up. And just best of luck with the rest of the campaign.
Thank you, man.